Hey guys, it's Size. I just wanted to make this quick video just to go over the more recent Destruction Warlock changes on the Dragonflight beta. I'll be going over some of the builds, mainly a single target and Mythic Plus build, and see how it's performing overall. I do have some raid testing videos available as well from this weekend. If that's something you guys would be interested in seeing, let me know in the comments down below and I'll put the whole thing up for you to watch too if that's your thing. But let's get into the video. So far, Destruction Warlock has received some of the biggest buffs we've ever seen in recent expansions and tuning phases. So they have buffed Immolate's direct damage by 35% and its dot damage by 35% as well. They have buffed Conflagration by 25%. They've buffed Incinerate by 35%, Rain of Fire by 35%, Chaos Bolt by 30%, and Cataclysm by 20%. So basically the entire Warlock toolkit has been buffed. The only things that haven't been touched are Channel Demon Fire, Soul Fire, Shadow Burn, and that's it really. So Infernal damage as well, sorry, just to add on top, but Destruction didn't need any of these buffs. These weren't the issues. So the issues were in mainly the single target scenarios where your Conflag, your Incinerate, your Chaos Bolt was hitting like a wet noodle. But with these recent buffs, it's actually going to help quite a bit. But beforehand, it was pretty much unplayable in alpha and early beta builds. I have done some of the raid tests and I'll throw in some of these clips in, primarily from Grim Totem and Teros. But bearing in mind, these were bug groups, they didn't have any clear progression on it, so it was hard to see how Destruction would fare in, you know, a 5 to 7 minute pull versus just the 2 minutes that we had on these bosses. But Grim Totem specifically is a big AoE fight. It's almost a perfect fight for Destruction. But I'll put in these clips for you and you can have a look at how it was playing overall, and we'll get back with some other little clips of single target rotations and AoE rotations and how I think it feels. See you in a bit. So looking more specifically at Destruction and single target, this is the kind of build that I have been playing with personally. Of course, some things are subject to change and you might want to change in some of the talents, but as of right now, the main really nice interactions that I think are important to talk about are you've got Crashing Chaos and Madness. So at the moment you can have back-to-back Chaos Bolts on the pull hitting for about 80 to 110k damage, and you can get 6 to 7 back to back. Roaring Blaze is quite nice, but most of the time you're only casting Chaos Bolts. It's a simple rotation, it's nothing weird or complex. You build towards your Chaos Bolts, and Incinerate is giving you 0.4 Soul Shards, which is a really nice sword generation compared to what it was. So we're just going to have a quick look at the opener, how the rotation feels, what it seems is going to be the best going forward. But honestly, most of it is very similar to Shadowlands and what it is now, with the exception that you're getting a lot more Chaos Bolts back to back due to Madness and Crashing Chaos. So open up with an Incinerate into an Immolate. We're going to pop Infernal, we're going to do Trinkets, Conflag, Channel Demon Fire, and now we're just going to be blasting off the Chaos Bolts. So the shard generation is really nice passively, and the fact that you've got Channel Demon Fire, which is really useful in AoE and single target rotations, because when you're playing Raging Demon Fire, it actually extends the duration of your Immolate. So whilst your Chaos Bolt is actually eating up the damage, it's actually getting replenished by Channel Demon Fire. Amazing in AoE situations, you know, when you've got Cataclysm but it's not quite ready and you want to be able to make sure the Immolate isn't dropping off. So looking at the damage breakdown, you can see Chaos Bolt, it's up there. You know, max hit 80k at the minute without any raid buffs, without any personal buffs going on at the minute either. But if it's on average hitting 70k as a normal cast, it's a huge bit of damage. It's nice to see Chaos Bolt hitting that high again compared to what it was. And you know, you actually feel like you're getting a decent chunk of damage from it. At least that's how it feels at the moment. Tuning still can change going into Dragonflight launch, and of course it probably will change. Nothing is set in stone when it comes to Blizzard, as you know. But the buffs seem to be working. Incinerate is doing nice damage again. Obviously, it's all front-loaded into Chaos Bolt, but as of right now, Incinerate is just your shard gen, and it's really nice pressing it, knowing that you're going to be getting those 0.4 shards, and knowing that you can count, you know, the Chaos Bolts that you're going to be getting. Conflag rate, of course, it's just below Grimoire. Grimoire Sacrifice is actually doing really good damage at the minute. I don't know if it's intentional, because on Affliction, for example, and on single target, it's top 5 pretty much all the time. I know it was scaled a lot higher than what it is currently. They have tweaked it a little bit, but it's still doing really well. So we're coming up to the 2-minute mark now. Chaos Bolt still hitting hard. Incinerate, Immolate on single target. You will see this come a lot higher in AoE, especially with Cataclysm being used. And Internal Combustion is decent damage as well. In my raid test, and I did find, obviously when there was quite a few ads on Grim Totem, it was popping off quite nicely. And you've got your Infernal melee hits down in the bottom as well. But if we look over here, Reign of Chaos is nice. Additional Infernal on the pull, and every 3 minutes going forward, providing you're not playing, you know, Blasphemy as well. It's nice to have the shard gem from the extra Infernal. It really is. And again, Diabolic Embers Incinerate now generates the soul shards that I was talking about. It's pretty much required. If you don't take Diabolic Embers, the rotation's going to feel so clunky, and you know, you're going to be spamming Incinerate 4 or 5 times before you can even get a Chaos Bolt out. So the AoE build of this kind of goes down the right hand side into Blasphemy as well. But the weird thing is that you don't always end up playing around Rain of Fire. You want to be using it to keep it up for the Pyrogenics, but other than that, it's pretty much still Chaos Bolts on. But we've got our Infernal up again now, so let's just see how it goes again. And it just feels nice, guys, to be able to spam these Chaos Bolts back to back. And we'll have a quick look at the overall damage in just a second, when this Infernal runs out. But this is what Destruction's all about, right? You wanted those hard-hitting abilities, you want the hard-hitting Chaos Bolts, like we had back in Mists of Pandaria and Warlock of Dreno. But you have a look now. 38 casts over almost a 4-minute fight. Max hit 95k. That's without raid buffs. So in a raid, I think my highest hitting Chaos Bolt was 122k. Again, completely based around madness as well. You know, increases in the Chaos Bolt damage by 25%, and the cast time to be able to spam it. And playing around your 2-set, 4-set is also a pretty big increase in damage as well. But with that, we will get into the AoE build in just a second. So in terms of AoE and Mythic Plus, this is kind of a general build that I've gone for as of right now. So you're still coming down the centre, you're still taking your Havoc, but the main difference is we're picking up Cry Havoc. So in most AoE situations you'd think Pandemonium. You know, it's quite useful to have that extended Havoc. But as of right now, we've got both Drain of Fire and all AoE damage other than the Channel Demon Fire. You play Cataclysm, you know, you've got Channel Demon Fire, you've got Backdraft, but you're not going into Roaring Blaze. So this build is mostly built around the fact that Chaos Bolt is still going to be doing most of your damage in an AoE scenario, just because of Cry Havoc over Pandemonium. It deals pretty nice splash damage, and then you've also got your Blasphemy. Because of the amount of spams you get through Chaos Bolts, it's not always going to be Rain of Fire, but the Chaos Bolt shards being spent as well will build up Blasphemies quite quick. So you're constantly spawning that. Your shard gen during this window of Infernal is going to be through the roof. And what we'll do is we'll get onto the training dummies now. We'll have a quick 3-4 minute encounter, and you can have a look at the damage breakdown. But I think you'll be surprised to see that even though you've got Rain of Fire and Pyrogenics, you're not really seeing the Rain of Fire damage. So let's just get into it now. So just like before, you would ideally open with Incinerate, but it doesn't really matter, it's AoE. So we're going to be open with Cataclysm, we're going to be Infernal and putting down our dots. We're going to Rain of Fire first of all, Channel Demon Fire, Havoc, and then what we're going to be doing, we're just going to be sending Chaos Bolts while we still have the rolling Chaos Bolts that we get up now. Just because it's the opener, you know, you get quite a few of these. And then outside of a Havoc window, You will want a Rain of Fire. And of course, when everything's got Immolate up, you're still going to be doing the Channel Demon Fire, extending those Immolates. And for pure Soul Shard gen, you probably will be Rain of Firing, but as soon as you get that Havoc up again, you're going to be wanting to go straight back into those Chaos Bolts, because the damage that they do is just a lot higher than the Rain of Fire, even after the buffs. And of course, with playing Cry Havoc, Chaos Bolt damage, it's going to be exploding, doing the extra damage within 8 yards. As long as the targets are within 8 yards of each other, you're pretty much always going to be taking that, and you're always going to be wanting min-maxing that on the Chaos Bolts. So it feels nice. Of course, it feels a little bit weird coming from Shadowlands, where Rain of Fire spam was the go-to. But with Conflag, and you know, you're still doing the Chaos Bolt damage. We have a little look at the damage breakdown here. It is weird to see the Chaos Bolt is high on the meters, especially considering it's a 4-target scenario and you're seeing Chaos Bolt actually do more damage in this 4-target scenario. Compared to Shadowlands, where it was 3+ targets, you would be Rain of Firing and it would be top your damage without a doubt. But it's just the way Dragonflight Destro works, and with the buffs to Chaos Bolt, it's just so much damage. It's too much damage to miss out on, to be honest. And you've got Cry Havoc creeping up on Channel Demon Fire as well. You know, providing there's enough targets, Cry Havoc's going to be doing more damage than Rain of Fire potentially, depending on the trash pull, obviously. But again, Soul Shard gen isn't really an issue with this build either. You've always got shards to spend, you've always got it up, you're very rarely stuck building. But if we look at the talents as well, we've gone Master Ritualist, Ritual of Ruin spends require 5 less Soul Shards. Huge as well, because that's how you get your Blasphemy coming up. You know, you get your free Chaos Bolt, your free Rain of Fire, and Pyrogenics as well. You kind of want to make sure you always have a Rain of Fire overlapping, just to make sure that you're constantly getting that extra fire damage. They're not showing on the unit frame nameplate, sorry about that, but you can see it down here on the targets. It is pretty much up perma, especially inside those Havoc windows, because you want to be making the most of that extra damage. So personally, what I've been doing, I've been tending to use my Ritual of Ruin procs on Rain of Fire. But of course, if you see that Pyrogenic is going to wear out, you do probably want to just cast it and get it up as well. Might feel like a waste of shards, especially if you've got Havoc up, but the damage scaling, it's too nice of a percentage to pass up on. So Royal and Havoc as well, each time you spell Duplate from Havoc, gain 2% increased damage, 5 seconds stacks up to 5 times. Big chunk of damage, especially inside your Infernal window, where you're going to be making sure that you've got as much damage amp as you have, especially for the Chaos Bolts that you're going to be sending. But I'll put a halt to this in a second, and we'll have a look at the overall damage together. So, you can clearly see the Immolate dot damage being buffed has massively affected the amount of damage that Immolate's doing. So, Cataclysm does afflict every enemy with your Immolate. It's not target capped. As far as I know, I haven't yet done a pull big enough in Mythic Plus where it's been target capped. I don't know if that's something Blizzard wanted to do, but it's not the way it works at the minute. So you've got the instant Immolate application damage, which has been buffed. It's still rather low, 1.5% on these 4 targets here, but the dot damage and the shard gen that you're going to be getting is insane. If you've played Destro, Warlock and Shadowlands, you're used to having to Immolate anyway in AoE, especially when you've not got your Infernal up, you've not got Rain of Fire ready to press. You want to be Immolating because you get more damage amp from that, and you get more soul shards from that than actually casting Immolate in an AoE scenario. Channel Demon Fire, it's always been a nice button to press, especially when you've got so many targets on that, sending 10 bolts out, you know, spread out between those targets. And now actually having Raging Demon Fire, where it extends the duration of Immolate, it feels amazing. I'm quite happy with it personally. And especially with Roll and Havoc, you're going to be getting a lot of damage amp, especially in those short windows where you've got a Havoc up, you're playing Cry Havoc, you're getting that splash damage. It's all going in to ploughing down those AoE packs as quickly as you can. Crash and Chaos, I can't compliment this ability enough. It's so nice. The main difference between this build and the single target build is that you're not playing Rain of Chaos for the extra Infernals. You're actually playing it's Wilfred's. Doesn't matter what you call it, Grand Warlocks, Sign Wilfred's. I'm going to keep calling it Wilfred's because that's what it was for the entire expansion that I've just played. You are going to be getting your Infernals quite quickly, especially, you know, when you're putting out those Rain of Fires and you're putting out those Chaos Bolts with the Havoc windows. So you're going to be getting Crushing Chaos quite often in Mythic Plus, and it just feels good. It's in a good spot at the minute. So overall, my main thoughts on this is that it's a huge step up from where Blizzard had us in the past few weeks. Feels better. It's nice to have Chaos Bolt hitting hard again, and it might not make Destruction the best spec for Warlock in Mythic Plus or single target, but it is becoming quite competitive, and on specific fights it might be the strongest. Looking specifically at Grim Totem, you know, it's a perfect Destruction fight. You've permanently got 2 ads up. You know, there's introductions of extra ads throughout the fight, and they're constantly spawning on a set rotation. You can plan all your cooldowns around it. It's really nice, but it is all subject to change. I don't want to say, you know, it's insane, because, you know, it's not. It's just about on par with the other Warlock specs, and that's what I was going to come into next. I'm looking forward to seeing all 3 of the Warlock specs be somewhat on par. Quite a few people joke, you know, Warlock's never been bad, you know, it's always one good spec, but it's something to have one good spec always being good. For example, Demonology throughout the entirety of Shadowlands, versus being able to pick the spec to play, like a lot of other classes have a choice. You know, most of the rogue specs, previous expansion, were all competitive and raiding and Mythic Plus. It'd be nice to have an expansion, or even a few tiers, where Warlock, you know, you can play whatever fits the fight best, not just Demonology, because in Shadowlands you played Demonology because you had that 1 minute Tyrant window and you had that big single target prior damage window. But it'd be nice to get to pick what spec we got to play regardless of the fight. But I digress. With that, team, I want to thank you all for watching. Please let me know what you think of the builds. If there's anything you'd personally change, or if anybody has the beta and have tested other builds, please let me know in the comment section down below. And feel free to drop me a like and a sub if you think I helped explain the builds or the current situation regarding Warlocks for you. As well as visit my Twitch down in the description to give that a follow for when I next go live. I appreciate everything you guys have been doing for me. You know, the support has been massive recently. You know, I enjoy talking to you guys in the comments and having these little conversations. But with that, guys, I think that's all I've got for you today. I will be uploading some Warlock Mythic Plus content as well in the next few days. But with that, guys, thank you for watching, take it easy, and I'll see you next time.